do have a quorum, so we can go ahead with the election of officers for 2021. So would anybody else?
I would like to nominate our current officers for the next year as well, since they've done such a fabulous job.
Man, she's slick.
Let's just take care of business here.
I think she practiced this before she got on. I am willing to continue as chair for another year. How about you, Bob, with vice chair?
Sounds fine to me.
Okay. And
Howard Howard was secretary.
I'm on board.
oh, that's great. All right, we all agree. So
So Sherry made the nomination.
Somebody
Is there
needs
any?
to
I'm sorry, excuse
second
me.
it.
Yeah, but are there, so we need a second to this nomination.
I guess one of us can do it, right? So
Right,
I'll second it.
Yep. And then are there any other nominations? I'm going to assume no. And and then we can go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, congratulations, Lisa.
Yahoo!
And Bob and Howard. There you go.
Howard, yeah.
Yahoo! That
All
was
right, there we
easy.
go.
That's
Way to
good.
go, Sherry.
Another good year. Thank you, Sherry. No reason to be coy. Just move ahead, right? All right, now
Yes, that's right.
we'll move on to review and approve the minutes from November 12, 2020. Can I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the meeting on November 12th.
Great. And
I
a
second.
second? Thank you, Howard. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Sherry? No?
You know, there's always something.
All right, we better approve them quickly. Oops.
Yeah, just two little things.
Okay.
Middle of the first page, the paragraph that begins Bob Hoffman corrected the legal owners.
Yes,
The third line, which reads 5-foot walkway to be located at the bottom of the home's front stairs. Home apostrophe S.
gotcha, yep.
And then I've lost you. Wait a minute.
That was a good one.
Well, we can see you and hear you for what it's worth.
Okay, I couldn't see you. Okay, and it's delete the will, and the next verb should be just connected and connected.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it.
Yep.
Hey, not bad for an engineer. I'll
Thank
take
you,
it.
Sherry.
I'm not as fussy as I used to be.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's good to have a great reader. It is, good editor. Any other additions or corrections to the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. The
No.
minutes are approved.
No abstains. Excellent.
Perfect.
So I think we'll turn to Shannon to give us an update on the expansion report progress.
I will. We got our letter from the state this week, which was fabulous.
Oh,
So
great.
Mary June got us our letters both for our Unionville Historic District and the Farmington Historic District came in this week. Both approved as presented, so we can go on and schedule our hearings. So if we think we want to tackle that in January, we can. The January meeting is January 7th, so If we think that's too close to right after the holiday, in order to be prepared, we could push that meeting a week back, or we could push the hearing to February. So
our preparation wouldn't, I think the item that needs the most preparation is some presentation about the properties, right? Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's what we did the last time, is there was a brief synopsis of the process, but then a discussion of each property. Obviously, the photos are already done. It's really just providing a summary of the written document that's already been prepared. But yeah, there is going to be a little bit of thought to get either a PowerPoint or PDF presentation put together so that we have that for use. And then obviously our office would be responsible for notifying the homeowners.
Well, I don't see any issue in moving it so we do it in January. I think the property owners are eager
Sure.
Yes.
to get this concluded.
Understood.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd be glad to do the PowerPoint. That's easy
Okay.
because I've got the text as well. And the outline of the process and the procedure, we have that already written. We can easily, just use what we've used in the past. I think it's just a matter of assigning commission members to do different parts of the
Right.
presentation. We've done that in the past as well. So I'll do the PowerPoint with the buildings. I'm glad to do that. Is there someone who would be willing to, and we have this all written out, talk about the process of applying for a COA and what it looks like? That's part of the hearing.
You mean just read from text?
Pretty
On the
much,
call?
yeah.
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Martin. Is there
No problem,
some,
Johnson.
okay.
I said, no problem, Johnson. You called me
Oh,
Martin.
did I?
Yeah, that's the trouble with having the technically two first names, right?
Exactly.
Me all the time.
Was there another presentation? Shannon,
Another
that's part of the public hearing?
I can pull, because I think I've got the presentation from last time. I think those are the two main parts of it. Obviously there's an introduction of who we are, and then they're allowed public comment, and then there's the vote. But I'll pull the presentation from last time.
Don't we have to inform the larger public of this hearing?
So it will be noticed in the newspaper. Yep. So it'll be noticed
Okay.
in the newspaper and noticed on the website. Just
Okay.
honestly, like our COAs are. So you folks just don't see that because we tackle that on our end.
Yeah, okay.
The newspaper notices will be done twice. There has to be 2 postings in the newspaper. And then we'll also post it on the website, and it will go out via the Everbridge announcement. So folks that have signed up for meeting announcements via Everbridge will receive it that way as well.
Oh, that's good. Okay,
And
good.
of course, the homeowners will receive a direct invitation, obviously, of the 4 properties that are being added.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
Do we have their email addresses?
Yes.
Offhand, I don't know. I believe we do, but I'd have to check all the paperwork, which is, I don't have at my fingertips at the moment.
I may have those, Shannon. I could share those with you.
Sure.
Okay.
Regardless, I think the notice by statute has to be sent certified mail. So there's certain obligations we
Right.
have with how that notice has to be sent, but we can certainly send a follow-up email.
Great. Good.
Okay, I'll let Sandy know so we can get prepped on our end. So we'll keep to the January 7th meeting date then and just do it then.
Is that okay with everybody else? January 7th?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Could we slip to, from the minutes to the the meetings? Of
Oh, back
agenda?
to the agenda? Yeah, sorry
Back
about
to the
that, Bob.
agenda?
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Yep, so we're just here on the study report.
Okay. Is there anything else on the study report or the public hearing that anybody like to discuss? No, we good? Okay, great. All right, let's move on to the educational seminars that we're planning for February and March. I'll go ahead and talk about the AirServe, the air conditioning guys. The fellow in charge of our project has COVID-19.
Oh, great.
Oh,
He is
Whoops.
home sick. He's young. We've talked to him once. He says he's going to be fine. But so I haven't had a chance to really talk to him about dates yet, but I will. I'm in contact with him. So
You're gonna help them.
okay.
And I
Yeah, the
think-
important thing is getting well first, right?
exactly. Everything else can wait. Everything else can wait. I told him that. So, and I think Matt was going to talk with Sanford and Holly.
Right. And I'm
So,
just sending him a text. I don't know. If he's near his phone, I'll get a response.
okay.
But okay, so yeah, so that's, but we're probably assuming all goes well for the rep, then we can probably still be looking at February, March, which is typically when we hold days. So
Yeah, I think so.
we'll certainly be busy enough in January. So with the hearing,
Right.
and so it'll cycle nicely into February, March. Even if it pushes to April, quite honestly, I think it's fine. And then we'll make sure we get the notifications and all that stuff done so that we've got our Unionville and Farmington historic people notified.
Perfect.
Good. That's
That's
good.
great.
So
We've got some of this down to a science, don't we?
we do, which is kind of nice.
It is. It really
Actually.
is.
It's kind of nice to know that we can pull it off and that it's not, we've got a format and it works and
That's right.
it's not moving heaven and earth to get it done.
That's right. That's right. Well, does anybody have any other business to bring in front of us this evening?
I have a question.
Mhm.
How's Bob's front porch and front steps?
Well, Bob's front porch and front steps are hold since it's been so cold and wet. I'm kind of thinking maybe a springtime might be a better time to start on that.
Yeah, certainly to dig out that lawn, you're gonna need a
But I was out there
better
today, and
temperature.
yeah, part of the ground is still frozen there, believe it or not.
Is there something temporary you could put down, Bob, for safety, even a mat of some kind, or?
Probably could, yeah.
Yeah.
Have to dig something up. For
Yeah.
that. Temporary, I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple of different mats. I know some folks have used them they're kind of an all-weather, all-purpose that'll work.
Even a doormat would be better than we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Get an AstroTurf mat.
So there you go.
Huh,
Something that has a little grip to it.
it's a good idea.
I got a quick update from Matt. It says I left a message again with Bob Sanford. We were unable to connect the day that we had set up. I'm supposed to pick up a back door this week and I'm planning to corner him or Sean. So he's like, I don't think it'll be a problem. It's just a matter of nailing it down. So,
Good. Yeah, good.
so it's still on his radar.
So we knew Matt's doing work on his house, right?
Yeah, but it's a back door, so he's good.
Accurate.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. Back doors are good. Oh, and there's Sandy had been in touch with you, right, Lisa, about a roof that was getting done?
Yeah, so this is 169 Lovely Street. And Sandy sent me photographs of the replacement roof material. And I looked at the photographs, then I walked down the street, and it looks like it's exactly the same as the current roofing material. But I did ask Sandy just to check in with Richard to find that out. Because
Yes,
if it's a like for like, he doesn't have to come to the commission.
and she confirmed that.
Oh,
We
good.
have it via email. She confirmed it, so it's all entered into the building permit, so I signed off on it.
Oh, that's terrific. Good. That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. Good. Anything else? Shannon, anything exciting going on in town or not exciting going on in town that,
Well, we're well underway with that Midpoint Development. So
Yeah.
thank you for getting the historical report for the McCallum Building. Those are fun to read.
yeah.
So they have, that project has been to EDC, to ADRC, and then they were at Inland Wetlands last night, and they opened their hearing on Monday night with TPZ. So we're hoping that goes well, and that's the first set of meetings that'll take place. Anticipating that it'll be continued and that it'll go to January, just because the size and the massing of this, and there's probably going to be some unanswered questions that are going to need addressing and a little research to address in January. But if they're successful, then it'll land the zone, it'll approve the master plan and the uses that go with that. And then they will then embark on a detailed design endeavor, all the utilities, detailed grading, really the nuts and bolts of getting these to almost a construction level plan, really dive into the details on the architecture and the different treatments for the buildings.
Yeah.
And then they come back for a site plan review with TPZ. They will also have full permitting with inland wetlands at that time. And it goes back to ADRC for a second advisory review. But with TPZ, they will not have a second public hearing. So the public hearing portion is now. Once the master plan is approved, then they can come back under new business for the site plan review. Unless, of course, there's a substantial change to the master plan or any of the uses, then that would trigger the need to reopen a public hearing. But
So this is the public's last opportunity to make comments about the project?
so this would be the time to do that. As far as having any questions or comments would be, yes, either this Monday or, like I said, I mean, I am anticipating that it'll go to January. So January would provide another opportunity. And then when it comes through for wetlands, for their official review, wetlands may or may not determine that it's a significant activity. If wetlands determines it's a significant activity, then they will hold a public hearing, but really their purview is limited to the wetland watercourse impacts, and they won't really dive into the nuts and bolts of the uses and the layout of things unless there's some direct relation to the wetlands. So.
I had a question. I wondered if you could define for us what a floating zone is.
Yeah. So this was developed as, we've got some background noise.
It's not me.
I don't know who. There's a little bit.
Somebody needs to mute.
Yeah, okay. I think we're better now. Okay. So so the Midpoint Development District zone, so a floating zone, basically is the document. So we have the written document that describes what is required for that zone and where it can be landed within the town of Farmington. So it's floating, if you will, available for implementation in a very specific geographic area of Farmington. And it doesn't get enacted unless someone actually applies for the zone change to land or apply the zone to this specific geographic area or portion of the geographic area. And this started back in 2018 with Bill Warner with the Plan of Conservation and Development. And he had identified this midpoint district, right, between Unionville and Farmington Center, kind of this central hub, and particularly with the rails to trails crossing and the intersection of Route 4, that this is our midpoint of Farmington, and looked at its interplay with the river and different opportunities. And currently these areas are zoned business and commercial, allowing, you know, industrial use, a variety of uses that you could land under and apply for under business and industrial. And it's not necessarily for the vision of Farmington our best opportunity. So he crafted this in the POCD, and then we then embarked in 2019 in creating the zone text that would support the vision of the POCD, so that you could actually implement the vision of the Plan of Conservation and Development. And so this zone can sit there forever, right? So it's this property, it's the McCallum Building, basically all the way over to the land behind the temple. It includes a number of properties, basically all that have river frontage, but all have either commercial or business zoning designations. And so this is allowing for a mixed use and allowing the introduction of residential, which we don't permit in our underlying business or industrial zones. So it provides a different opportunity to provide a connection to the trail, and allow for, depending on one's perspective, a less intense use by allowing more residential and less heavy commercial or industrial type uses. But it's a zoning technique. So rather than going through and blanketly changing the zone at the time that the regulations introduced first and provides the mechanism for implementation at the point in time a developer or owner is ready to implement that in line with the vision of the POCD.
My question on this whole proposal thing is that you have industry locked in with the residential area, like you just said. On our street, we have the business of Sanford Hawley on the street. And that became a big issue because all the neighbors got together on that because the trucks were coming into our neighborhood.
Sure.
And that was our biggest problem. Now that they have the warehouse opened so that they can just drive in, and the trucks don't have to line up on our street and keep their diesel engines going from 2 o'clock in the morning till whenever Sanford Hawley opens up. I think that's one thing they should be building into this combined zoning.
Sure. Well, and that will be taken into account based on the uses that are proposed. In the McCallum Building, while it's historically an industrial building and had ties to the railroad and was used for grain distribution and even auto parts and a variety of things. Its functionality as a true industrial building really doesn't exist anymore in the way that we would think. So they're looking at the opportunity for a portion of it being a brew pub, because the steel building that's right behind Carol's hot dog stand
Mhm.
is kind of the first thing that you see.
Right.
That's actually a full 2 floors and already has a grain silo in there. So the ceiling height is such that it would support the vats that are needed for a brewery. So that's their vision currently of that. The McCallum Building right now has some retail on the top, on the bottom floor. It has the auto parts store that's there now. And the vision is to expand the retail component of that and maybe have something like an ice cream shop, have some seasonal things that would tie to the proximity of the trail. Because the other thing they're doing is extensive work on the rails to trails to provide an at-grade crossing and connection there that will allow an at-grade crossing into this development, but also provide connection to the baseball fields on the other side.
Right.
So they're looking at that for the first floor. Then the next 3 floors, because of the style of construction that was done, again, it was in the 1920s and it was for grain and heavy material with trains coming in and out and loading into their docks. The construction are concrete floors that are, I believe are like 14 to 16 inches thick.
Mhm.
And there are concrete columns that I can't get my arms around.
Hmm.
And the concrete column flares up at the top.
Hmm.
It's very unique. It's really spectacular to see, but it also doesn't lend itself to good repurposing. So they're looking at it, and I think Matt mentioned at the last meeting, currently the schools are using it, Board of Education is using it for overflow material and equipment that they can't use right now because they've had to pull so many desks and tables and things out that they can't use in order to manage social distancing. This was the perfect space for that. So that's really the functional, you know, they've thought of maybe art studios in there because there's fantastic windows, certainly on the front side of the building. And then the top 2 floors, there's a 5th and 6th floor. I think I've got that right, 2, 3, yeah, 5th and 6th floor that will be residential. And they're almost all like, again, spectacular views of the river and the valley. It's really magnificent. So the industrial and commercial, yes, there'll be deliveries because they are envisioning some retail and some restaurant and light commercial type things. So there will be deliveries, and we see it even with Starbucks down at Farmington Center, and they've got, you know, it's a small Starbucks, but they've got their large tractor trailer that's in there. So that absolutely is something that we'll have to be mindful of, Bob. Yep.
I always wish they could have just left one car on that railroad track out there and back, just to
Yeah.
bring back the memories of what it was.
No,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's
Exciting project. Exciting
Yes.
project. Yeah, very good. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Shannon, for the.
Can I ask one quick question?
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course you.
Does the state DOT need to get involved with the connections to Route 4? Do they have to approve anything?
Yep, they sure do. So they don't have to secure a DOT permit at this point for the master plan level. Because again, this really was visioned so that they could get the zone change, and the master plan is such that it's a promise, if you will, between the developer and the town. So we don't want them to just change the zone and then come in and think they can do anything willy-nilly. So the master plan, for lack of a better word, is a promise that this is, hey, this is what we're committing to doing. And the town is saying, okay, based on this commitment, we agree that this is appropriate for this location. And yes, we'll permit this zone change based on this commitment and what you've proposed to do. But they can't put a shovel in the ground with that. They can't pull a building permit. They can't start actually constructing anything until they come back to us with the detailed site plans. At that point, then they will have sufficient details to all of this design in order to go to wetlands and come back to get site plan review. And at that time, they will do and embark on their DOT permitting. So they'll have to go to OSTA, the Office of State Traffic Authority, and get their permit with OSTA because there's over 200 parking spaces. So OSTA has a threshold of 200 parking spaces or 100,000 square feet of development. So they will hit that threshold, I believe on both counts. So they will have to go to the Office of State Traffic Authority to receive a permit. And OSTA will review, as we have reviewed the traffic information, OSTA will as well, and require any additional improvements. So if there's a lane widening or traffic signal timing improvements, and the traffic signal at Brickyard and Route 4 was just installed, it's a new signal, but there may be timing adjustments that need to be made. So OSTA will look at all that in great detail. And then they issue a certificate, and typically the certificate has a number of conditions of approval of things that need to be implemented. And at that point, their engineering and design team take those conditions, develop construction level plans, and they go to the local regional DOT office to get their encroachment permit. So it's a two-step process with DOT. One at the Newington level to look at this kind of holistically and say what types of improvements are needed, if any, so that the traffic will continue to flow through that section. And then the second to say, okay, here's the construction level and how are we actually widening the road? How are we actually making adjustments to the signal timing or whatever the case may be regarding those recommendations? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the beginning of what's going to be a very lengthy process. I mean, it's probably a full year of permitting by the time they are back and forth and make adjustments. So
I have a question. Isn't there a big sewer line that goes down through that property?
yes, sir, there
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a number of sewer lines. There's horizontal, so there's a line that runs east-west, and there's also a line that runs north-south, and that's all identified on their site plans, and their buildings have been positioned. Part of the drivers of how the buildings have been positioned is in order to avoid conflicts with those sewer lines. Yeah, we've had extensive conversations with them about that, obviously, because the town of Farmington owns the sewer. So there's easements over that, and we want to make sure that we're able to access those appropriately if we need to.
I like the way the rails to trails goes there along the riverbank there. That area is frequently used by fishermen that love to get into that area anyway.
Yep, it certainly is. So it's very exciting. It's exciting. It has enormous potential. So and certainly the developer's been very diligent and thoughtful in their efforts. They've been working on this for 2 years. At the time the POCD was done in 2018, they were well entrenched and had this on their radar. So, you know, it's definitely an exciting opportunity, but you know, there's boxes that have to be checked. You know, there's things that we need to make sure are in place so that it's right for Farmington.
How many units, housing units would there be?
So
There's like
yeah,
8 apartment buildings or whatever.
There's 8 apartment buildings.
Right.
It's 198 units total. 190 in those apartment buildings and 8 units on the top 2 floors of the McCallum Building. And it's a variety of studio, single, and 2-bedroom. And I don't know the mix off the top of my head.
That's kind of gonna take away the fizz or need for the Perry Street apartments.
interestingly, our economic development director, Rose Ponte, has done, it looks at this information regularly, and she did a presentation to TPZ, I'll say a couple of months ago. I can't remember exactly when, but a couple of months ago. And one of the things Rose shared with them are the needs, like what do we need in Farmington, and how do we react to those needs, and how does zoning play into that? And one of them was housing, and we are actually far below where we need to be for rental type housing, and we're far below our adjoining communities. And we actually have very distinct markets. So yes, this at Midpoint may or may not impact the Unionville Perry Street development, but Perry Street also had its own kind of niche market that it was looking at and focused, and it had condo units that it was also contemplating. They weren't just all apartment. And so it was kind of a different thought process for Perry Street. And we have another one they're looking at doing across from Yukon. So Metro Realty has an application in for one across from Yukon. So there's very distinct centers, but they had looked at it. The last apartment complex that was put in was 120 units on Colt Highway. It's a Metro development, and it is full all the time. They have waiting lists, and it's mostly young professionals and or people on the other side of, the kids have left and they don't want to maintain a home anymore. So it's some folks that towards the the end of their career, they're still working, certainly don't want to be in a senior type neighborhood, and it is full of people that are going to work. Lots of they've done demographics. They've got lots of nursing, lots of people that are to and from Yukon and the various hospitals. So we believe
that was built quite a while ago.
Correct, exactly. And that's the point. There's been nothing since then from a residential standpoint. And then prior to that, a lot of the apartment complexes that we have in town date back to the 80s or older. So we really, in order to keep pace with the neighboring communities, it really is something that needs to be part of what we're looking at from a development standpoint. And Rose hears regularly from some of the both from the bioscience folks and the healthcare folks, as well as our high-tech folks on that this is the things that they need. They're having trouble recruiting talent because we within the center of Farmington can't provide the things that these young professionals are looking for. Mm-hmm. So, and housing is an affordable housing that's has a nice community to it is one of the things that's needed. So.
It's also on the bus stop route too, so that's
it
good.
Is. It is on the bus stop route, yes. So it has a plus. So it's exciting, and you're welcome to tune in for all or part of it on Monday. The agenda is posted online. It has a Zoom link at the top, just like this one does. You can open the agenda, click on the link, and you'll pop in. And you'll show up on the attendee list. You can listen for as much or as little as you like. It also is recorded, so you don't. If you listen live, then you have the opportunity to participate if you want to submit a question or a comment during the hearing. But you're also welcome. You can catch the recording. They're all posted online, just like ours are, and you can always submit a question or comment after, because again, I really don't believe that this is going to close next Monday evening. It could. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think they're going to want some additional information and some things looked at a little bit before they close this hearing.
Looks good so far.
So,
Looking at the models, what they've gotten on print here.
yeah, it's kind of exciting. So we'll see. Hopefully we have productive meeting on Monday night. That's my goal. Productive and well presented meeting. So.
Yeah, good. Great. Shannon. Thank you. Thank you for that
Thank you.
update. That was terrific.
Oh, you're welcome.
Right, is there anything else anybody else has on their minds to talk about? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close this meeting.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Thank you, Howard. And a second?
I'll second it.
All
That's
right.
Bob Hoffman.
Thanks, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll see each other at the public hearing in January.
In January. So there'll be a few emails back and forth to get prepped, but
That's
We'll
good.
do it. Good. Have a great holiday, wherever
Thank
you
you.
are, whatever you're going to do.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry
have a
Christmas,
nice
all.
holiday, everyone. Bye-bye.